Hello, my name is Dominic Underhallhouse and welcome to the third and final part of our Zax List Building series. So what we've been doing is we've been taking one list, we've built it, we've tweaked it a couple of times, and now we're going to try what I think there's a good chance could be sort of the next iteration of it. And you've got to bear in mind with these things, it's always a continuous process. There's never a final point. You're never going to finish a list and say, that's it, that's done, it's perfect, there's no more changes need to be made. There's always more to be done. The meta will change around you. Either if you create the perfect list, it will change the meta itself, people will adapt to it, and then you'll have to adapt to that. So it's always a continuous process. So that's why I'm only doing 3 of these rather than saying that, you know, I've come to the finished product, it's the best list available. I think everyone knows that's not always going to be the case, but I think it's a really, really valuable process to see. So the list we're running, we've got early drops in both Maximus and Deadeye. We've got Detonia. We've taken out Axel Pyro for now. I'm not convinced it's the right choice, but for Beatrice here as well. We've got Broken Vengeance as a nice solid sort of 2-drop there, so we've got a lot of cheap variable options. We can get more units out as and when we need to, with Stitchy here as sort of a late game backup plan. We've got a 3-cost here in Aria, 4-cost in Shrapnel, 5-cost in Flurry, and then Turncoat is another one of our additions this time. I think Turncoat's just a really valuable utility unit, and with Zax we can pull someone out of place, steal them away, and hopefully just get some extra value from there. So this is the list that we've put together. So we took out Axel Pyro for Beatrice, and we took out Dr. Feelbad for Turncoat, and we're going to see how this fares in our next PvP game. If you're enjoying these videos, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. That's the biggest thing I would like from you from the moment if you haven't done already. It really, really means a lot. We're trying to grow the channel, and getting over 200 just before the last video was such a big moment for me, and for more to come I'd be so grateful. But you can also comment, subscribe, just told you to subscribe, comment, like the video, join on Patreon if you want to, and if you want to drop a comment, let me know what you want to see next. I would love to know what sort of series you'd like to see. I'm going to do one of these for each captain, but if there's a different captain you want to see specifically, if there's a different series of videos you want to see, anything in particular, I'd love to hear from you. So we found a game pretty quickly, and we are against Jajore. Ooh, Gardener Joe. Okay, so I've not played against too many Gardener Joes. I think it's a really cool unit. I think if it's played well, it can be really difficult to deal with. One of the biggest problems is if people play their plants out too early, or if you can just stick something with armor in front of the plants and basically be completely safe. So we'll see what we work out here. We're starting a long way away from these. This to me looks like a situation where we want to be playing one of our movement based units as soon as possible. Sorry, I like ambush ones. So I'm going to try and pull far enough I could potentially still get a shot, but not far enough that I'm out of range of it. Sorry, not out of range of this, not like hidden all the way back. So we'll take 43, that's not too bad. We missed, but that's fine. I think anyone reasonable would be accepting of that. And we'll go for Deadeye. So this is going to score us a point fairly early on, and Deadeye is really powerful at all of this range. So when I was saying earlier about playing their plants and things like that, I actually think if they play a plant this turn, it's probably a mistake. So we could just poke it and leave it alone, or we could just ignore it completely and just let it spend 4 or 5 turns moving towards us while we play solid follow-up units as well. So the way that this looks like it's playing out, depending on what they do, I'm probably planning on playing Broken Vengeance here, maybe Detonia, but probably Broken Vengeance, just so we've got that extra range damage. Joe doesn't put out much pressure on their own very early, so we can really take advantage of that. The other thing to bear in mind is that with Zax, we can pull Joe into their own thorns, and that can cause a ton of damage that they weren't necessarily expecting. Just drop a little greetings.
Finally we meet.
Who are you? Okay, so we've got that there. This looks like a good little hidey spot. I imagine. Okay, Antios. So with Antios being a range unit, that's a really. Oh, sorry, a melee unit. It's a very bold positioning choice, especially I was going to say if we can get some line of sight down here as well. So we can go all the way back here and still be at maximum, but I want to move here so we get better angles for future turns. So I don't think we need to do anything right now. I think we just take that shot. There's no shot there, so we'll just take this one. We made both, which is nice. We'll pop back down here. And like we mentioned, we can consider playing a Broken Vengeance, so I think would be a good pick. I'm going to play him quite aggressively, because if Antios moves too far forwards, we can just take advantage of that and run forwards with Broken Vengeance, chain him to death, and end it there. So here, for example, there is a good chance that if we can move over here and use a gravity disc, we might be able to get Broken Vengeance to just churn out all the damage that we need to worry about. Okay, so there's the first plant. It's not the best position, but it's not the worst. I've seen much worse positioning from there as well. It's because I think this is just going to take a few turns to get to us, and we're not really under that much pressure. Okay, so it's slowly coming in. If we can get this to move over, I think we're in a very good spot. So, what can we do with Grav Disc? So can we get just Broken Vengeance over, and how far can we go? Can we use this to slide along a little? There you go. So sometimes if you move towards the edges of terrain, it actually moves you slightly further forward. This to me looks like it's going to work. It doesn't. We are slightly short, which is very awkward. But it does mean we can just run back and hide. So it's not the end of the world. Take a reasonable shot, which we make. We'll do the same sort of thing over here. So what's their movement range? So they're still going to be a little bit short there. So we'll just pop this on ourselves, get the nearly guaranteed hit. We can push for different things, but honestly, I don't think we've really got a line of sight here for anything. So what's it telling us we can oh, those. We don't care about those. So I think what we want to do here is probably just deploy back again. This time, I think I'm going to go with Detonia and Maximus. So if we pop Detonia down there, Maximus just joining the party down this side, putting as much damage on the battlefield as possible. So the fact that they're all sort of bunched up, we've got some good AoE, that can move, but we're nowhere near any range for it. If they go for additional move speed, we could again also be in a good spot. So what we're trying to do is just control out the enemy units. Dome's an interesting one, because Dome actually does slow us down a fair chunk, but it doesn't really match with the aggressive units that they're playing, so if we can deal enough damage over here, we could be absolutely fine in terms of just doing what we need to. I mean, at this point in time, we're actually just scoring a ton of points. This is also potentially a risk for them as well. That's quite funny. Okay, so what can we do? We can move here for 100% to get 1 damage. Honestly, I just think we poke at what we can do, so we'll just take... What have we got? The best shot here. We got... Did I see? That's the magic number as well, so we can't not take that. At this point, because we're winning on points, we don't really need to do anything. We just need to stay out of range of them. We'll take a couple of pot shots here and there. So that looks to be out of range to me. It is. So we'll just take a couple of shots here and there. There we go. Ping that one.
My eyes are up here.
Can we do the same here? No. So what we'll do is we'll just move up here and just take out a plant. Because I believe that plant might not be quite in range, but we'll just use this as well. In fact, if we move Zax, say, down, so say maybe this looks pretty reasonable. We can just start taking a little poke here, knocking it back, dealing more damage. Move Detonia over here, lob some explosives over, and then okay, I think our opponents decided to concede from there. I think we were in a really commanding position. You know, it was very hard for them to find an opportunity to get aggressive. We could chip things down. We could out-damage Gardener Joe's sort of healing buff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into one more game because that was very fairly quick. I do want to thank our opponent for taking part in that game. It was a good game. It's a hard thing to learn to play Gardener Joe. They are not an easy captain to play. So having that that learning experience, playing against someone who's playing a bit more aggressively, is probably a good way to sort of feel a little bit more comfortable with the unit and gradually get used to that captain. Next we're against the Dankest Dino. I love that name. And we are playing against Zuna. So Zuna makes a big difference to what we play out here, because that visibility field basically means that Detonia is going to be way up on our list, as are things like Beatrice, because one of the things that people often overlook with Beatrice is that her abilities are better than you might think, because her attack, her general attack, essentially is just a normal attack. It still gets affected by So I'm just trying to work out the percentages there. It gets affected by normal accuracy and things like that. However, what is different is that the pierce and sort of the move through is actually only affected. Is not affected by accuracy. I don't know why I say only affected. I was getting too caught up about what do I want to do. So the actual pierce through isn't affected by accuracy. It's an ability rather than just an attack. So anything that reduces accuracy doesn't take that away. So that's something to bear in mind with Beatrice. Does work well in the Zuna matchup. So we've got enough damage to start chipping away a little bit at Toltecan, but not too much. What we might look at doing is trying to set up a cinder pile situation, so we'll just keep pushing for now, and maybe even onto the enemy captain, now that they've exposed themselves a little bit, and just worry about maybe dealing with the cinder pile next turn. Okay, so we do need to get more damage out. I honestly think Titonia is probably the way to go, but what I want to do first is see what can we do with this grav disc. Because if we can get a really nice pull here, especially if we can get Max as well. Okay, we can't get Maximus. Doesn't look like we can anyway. So let's just try and take a little bit of a shot here. We'll poke that there. And if we take the 84% here, it's pretty reasonable. 81, 82. Can we get any better? I mean, was that a 91? Or 61? We'll just go here and take this shot. There we go. Nice big boom over there. And honestly, I think trying to see how far... Okay, so we can't play Titonia safely over there. So it might just be that we want to play Beatrice Enforcer right down on their face. I'm going to do it. And then what I'm also going to do is place a mine down. So place a sleeper mine up here. Make it harder for Toltecan to get away. Make it harder for them to take this objective. And see if we can keep impacting things. So one of the differences in strategy between this game and some of the others that I play is that in this situation specifically, we can't afford to just go for killing the crew because Toltecan just gets back up every single turn. So if we can kill one of the crew that permanently dies, then that's great. But if they don't permanently die, then we need to worry about the captain more than the other crew. Because Toltecan is not a trap, it disables them for a turn, but it's not necessarily as useful. Okay, so we've got Maximus running away over here, that's fine. I think we all knew that was going to happen. I'm curious to where Zuna moves, because there's a good chance that we might be able to, say, pull them into the bomb. Okay, Howl for the remove speed. That's fine. We'll just take you down. Because Beatrice has that reduced move speed, but we have the pull, this could still work out really well for us in just taking both of these down this turn. So we could use our grav disc, knock in there, and then see if we can just start moving towards Maximus.
Body need guarding.
And they go for the reduced accuracy. Yep. Absolutely fine. So funnily enough, we actually want to be just trying to get to the other side of this, I think. What if we tried this? So we'll obviously take the hit with Beatrice, but that's kind of okay. We just want to clear things out a little bit. What if we tried to go for something over here? Beatrice having the reduced movement is very awkward. I don't think she can quite get on that objective. Not quite. But we might be able to just pull things without taking her into this. Okay, so this didn't look like it was going to explode. It's still possible. Yeah, so it did get exploded. I'm pretty sure that just... There we go. So we did miss that, but that's fine. Just one of those things that happens. Over here, what do we want to do? Really, we need to start moving on the captain. But I'm going to move to... Interesting, 0% chance on some of these. And we really need to just get rid of Torian. Because Torian... Why can't I shoot? Come on. Pop the sleep mine down. We want something that can work through that. So I'm going to pop Titonia down over here. And I'm going to try and take a shot somewhere. Anything reasonable? No, we'll just stay back this way.
Come on, fellas.
I'm not going to... Well, I was going to play Maximus out, but thinking about it, looking at Torian, I kind of like the idea of getting Flurry. They can kill the mine, that's fine, but we've got ways of dealing damage to them back. So This is good for us if they go for it. It could potentially just end up being a back and forth. Okay, so we've got their unit. That's really good for us. Dealing with Beatrice is absolutely fine, seeing as for us, Torian's a bigger problem than Beatrice is for them. So they can struggle to get through with Maximus, fair enough, that is absolutely the case, but we would be really struggling to get through those debuffs constantly every turn, which is why we've placed out things like Detonia to try and account for that a little bit. So with this now here, we can just knock Toltecan out, which is fine, and then we're going to start working on Zuna. So both of these are going to be out of line of sight. We're going to want to get Flurry in there, especially somewhere where we can trap Zuna into place. So that's what we're going to try and do next turn, is move Zax to basically shoot this, move down here, deploy Flurry over here, and that way if they even try and kill Flurry, Flurry's going to AoE their unit to death. That's actually a very good counter to what we're about to do, but I'm okay with that. Oh yeah, of course, this has still got the damage on there. So I'm going to just pop Flurry down. Let's go over here. Makes it harder to move, so Zuna can still move a bit, but not miles away. We've got a good bit of range here on Detonia. In fact, you know what? I think we actually just want to kill this, because now they're far away from their Zuna. That's going to be very hard for them to get back into place. So we've got the reduced accuracy over here, but we've also got a unit there. So if we move back here, we don't have anything to do apart from just take a pot shot. I think this is what we ought to do. So we're putting pressure on in terms of points. We're not letting them score any. They haven't got too much damage on the battlefield. It's going to be very difficult for them to revive Toltecan. So they could potentially go over here and pull it. That does work, and then Zuna can come back and respawn. But they're just putting their own units at risk at this point. And what we really want to do is just start getting Flurry in there and start spinning things around, having a bit of fun, and seeing what we can work out. Okay, yeah, they are willing to do that for that reason. Where's the Toltecan range? I don't think this is going to get Toltecan in range to actually resurrect either. So, ooh, that's very interesting. Flurry can potentially kill that, so if they move back into that same position, Maximus is going to have a field day. He's going to have a great time, because we can move Flurry in here, get the attack, they attack back, we deal 3 in an AoE, we use Detonia's bomb to attack all of this, deal more in an AoE as well. Sure, bring Toltecan back. Actually, maybe Detonia can't get in range. I think she can, though. Grenade. There we are. So, move up. Just go for this hit first. Hit and spin. Perfect. Detonia has a very good shot here, in fact, so there was no need to worry whatsoever. We want to make sure we hit all of these. Get the spin in again, which is perfect. And to be completely honest, at this point, I'm almost tempted to just go straight damage. So what's the percentage of Deadeye over here? 8. So I'm just going to Ozos myself and just try and go for damage on their captain. We did get that, that's perfect. We'll pop in here to get a little bit more. We'll pop a Sleeper Mine down just over here to stop them escaping a little bit. And we just want to apply more and more pressure. So what's the hardest thing for them to deal with out of what we've got? It's probably going to be a turncoat. Okay, there we go. So I don't think our opponent had much of a chance to come back. And honestly, I think turncoat was good in that position because we could deal with Maximus. They didn't have anything else except a crankbait, which is inconvenience against turncoat. But we can force their crankbait to go where we want it to every turn. Or if we find a position where it's safe, then there's nothing they can do about that whatsoever. So, Dankis Dino, thank you so much for the game. It was really appreciated. Honestly, I am happy with how this list's turned out. I could see making a few tweaks. I didn't feel like I missed Axel Pyro, which is good. I thought I would do, but I didn't. Flurry, I'm not overly convinced. It worked well here, but it is very much a double-edged sword. So, really interesting units. Let's have a look at our opponents. Some good, solid ranged early game over here. Like these are going to hit like a truck fairly early on. Couple of defensive units. Tipu, as everyone knows, Destroyer of Galaxies. Crankbait, Torian Guardian, Turncoat, and Yuki. There's some really fun units in there. That looks like a really fun list to play. So, congratulations to Dankers Dino for coming up with a really fun looking list. And honestly, I think we've done really well. I think that list it's served me well. I'm happy with it. I would play this again. So I'm going to just go to the rosters and rename this, and Zax complete. There we go. So we have completed this list for now, but I will probably tweak it. I'll play it in other videos. At different points I've had 50, 60 different lists, so don't expect to see too much of the same thing. But what I want to hear from you is what you want to see next. Do you want to see different captains doing the same thing? Do you want to see tips and tricks or little nuances that are how Moonbreaker's interactions work? Do you want to see, what my favourite parts of the game are? Do you want things about the lore? Do you want things sort of Moonbreaker adjacent, sort of slightly Moonbreaker, slightly other things? Let me know what you want to see. I'd really appreciate it. And if you can, like, comment, subscribe most of all. Join us over on Patreon if you're feeling generous. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and most importantly, have a good day.